HerPod.
Let's do life together.
And welcome back to this week's episode of HerPod. I'm your host, Lexy McDonald, and oh my goodness, wanted to thank you all so much for all of the support over on my YouTube channel. I am blown away by how many of you kind of switched over to watch the YouTube version and watch like the video version straight away. It's just been insane to see the support and love and the comments and the messages. So I love you so much. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello. If you are watching on YouTube, you will see that I'm in my bed, but it's a little bit more chaotic. I did a tan last night because I guess I was under the impression that no one was going to watch the YouTube video. Like, why would they watch YouTube video? Like, we've kind of got like the audio, like I'm kind of like an audio, like I'll listen to a podcast while I'm on my drive somewhere. Like I'm very much an audio podcast listener. But to be fair, I do have shows that I watch where I'm like, this is an audio podcast. Like, even though I know that they post on YouTube, I'm like, this is the podcast that I listen to on my phone. And then I have other podcasts where I'm like, this is the video. Like, I'm not listening to the audio of this. I just assumed that because I've kind of done the podcast. This is my second year. We're almost on 2 years of doing the podcast. So I was like, they're going to think that I'm the audio podcast. Like, they're not going to want to see me. They're not going to. Anyway, so the fact that so many of you like switched over immediately to the video is just, I don't know, it's cool. It's so nice to like see you and like, I don't know, I feel like it makes it more personal and intimate. And because of that, I was like, well, I need to do a tan. Like, I didn't realize that there was going to be so many of you watching. Like, my little pale ass needs to like step up the game a little bit. And I know, I just feel so much better after a tan. Like, a tan just transforms so much in my reality, so much in my life. Like, there'll be days that I look at myself, I'm like, you just look like, I don't know, like, it's so funny because when I'm looking at other people throughout life, like my friends, my family, like, they look the same every day. Like, I genuinely cannot tell the difference. They always look the same. I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I always look different. Like, there is not a day where I'm like, oh, you look like you did yesterday. Like, yes, my eyes are in the same place, my hair's the same color, but like my face, I just feel like there's some days I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow, you're flawless, girl. Like, to be fair, there's no days I think that, but there's days where I'm like, oh yeah, like cute. Like, we like what we look like today. And then there are days that I look in the mirror and I'm like, no, like, you are the scum of the earth. You look awful. And I feel like what elevates that is when I get in that little mindset and that spiral is like a tan and a hair wash. And then I'm like, oh, I feel like me again. Like, oh, I feel like the pretty version of me. And then I'll have days where I'm like, my hair's not washed, oily hair, and I'm like pale as, and I'll like look at videos of myself when I'm tanned and my hair's washed. I'm like, wow. To be her again. Anyway, so I was like, I need to do a tan. I need to like wash my hair, do a tan, and I can come up onto the podcast because there's so many of you watching this that I was like, oh, it'll be better. You'll be able to see the me that I enjoy. So I did a tan last night, and I usually use a tan where it's like invisible on, and it kind of, there's no of that like residue, like that horrible like tan, like, oh, it's my least favorite part. My least favorite? Yeah. I was like, is it favorite or least? It's definitely least favorite. My least favorite part of tanning is like that horrible, like, what is it? Like an applying brown? Like, it kind of, you guys are probably shouting at me being like, no, the word is, but it's kind of like that when you apply it, but it kind of just rinses off. It's like, so you know where the tan is to apply. Anyway, I'm a long time tanner. Like, I went all throughout high school being a little bronze girl. Like, I know what it's like. I'm an Australian that is like pasty. And I was at my nana's yesterday and I hadn't had my tan on yet. And my nana was sat on the ground. My mum was sat on the ground and I was sat on the ground, and we all had our legs out. Like, well, we were in shorts. It was a hot day. I don't know why that sounds so weird. We all had our legs out. We're all just like, woo. We all had our legs out. And I was looking at the shades and I was like, we are all like sickly white. Like, it is, anyway, it is crazy. There's so many people that pull off pale, but like, I don't know, I just feel so much better in a tan. And I just feel like I am so pale. Like, when I get to like my pale, like ruminating in the paleness, because there was a few weeks there where I didn't tan at all because I was holding off because I had this meeting and I was like, I don't know when this meeting's going to be, but I want to make sure that I'm like tanned and like ready and like fresh hair wash tan version of me for this meeting. So I'm not going to tan just in case they message me back and they're like, hi, we'd love to have a call with you. And it's like day 4 of the tan and then it's more work. Anyway, so I just wasn't tanning. And then I was looking at myself. I was like, you would be great. Like you would be such a good cast member for Bridgerton. Or like an old timely classic, like you're like sickly porcelain white, which isn't the vibe. I want to be like a tanned goddess. And so many of my friends are just like so naturally beautifully tanned. So anyway, I also have friends that don't tan at all and that are porcelain skin and like are flawless and beautiful. I just feel better in a tan, which I don't think I'm the only one that feels like that. But anyway, so I was tanning. Wow, this is... This is the ramble. I'm glad you can see the ramble at least. So I was tanning for tonight so I could be here with you all today, being bronzed and fresh and tan. To be fair, I could have been tanner, but I usually use like a tan that's kind of like clear. So like you rub it on and it's like clear and you don't see it and it just kind of like gradually goes on through the day. But there was none of those at the shop when I went last time I bought tan, and I bought the one that kind of has that layer on. So I'm sat on my bed in like with all of my covers of my sheets off, all my protector, I have all my pillows have not got their sheets on, and I'm sat here because they're all really rank and I didn't think of it. And to be fair, this is real, and I love filming podcasts in the car. Like if you saw some of my clips before, my podcasts have always been filmed in the car because it's just real. Like I just don't want this to be like a high pressure. Like I don't want a studio. Like it's just like you and me on my bed while my sheets are in the wash, because this is it's just life. Like we're doing life. I don't know. It doesn't need to be high production. There's so many high production podcasts. I'm like just so happy to just sit and have a chat on my bed like we're best friends, because that's what we are. Talking about best friends, something my transitions, if you're new here because of podcasts, like my transitions are awful. Like I have a list of things that I go throughout my week being like, what are the things that I can catch you up on? What are the things that have been on my mind? Like let's have a full on chat. Like I do this with my friends as well. Like we'll go out for dinner and I'll have a list of things that I want to talk to them about or things that I want to ask them. Like, because I feel like with adult friendships, like it's so hard nowadays to like find time to like schedule in. And I was listening to someone talk about this on a podcast, or like, I think it was a TikTok. I read a book. That's what I always say. Oh, I've read something. It's not. I've looked at a TikTok where she was talking about the fact that like she doesn't like do life with her friends anymore. Like they just genuinely just catch up. Like she's not experiencing life with her friends. She kind of just goes out for dinner. They debrief all the things that they're doing and then like go on with their life. And I feel like that's such the stage of friendship that I'm at. Like for so long, like throughout high school and like growing up with someone, and then like your early 20s, like you're doing things with them always. Like there's always an activity, there's always something that you guys are doing together, and you're like experiencing life together. But at the moment, I feel like I can't really remember the last time my friends and I did like a really fun thing together. We went to Rottnest like a year ago, and I was like, that was so fun. But at the moment it's a lot of just like dinners or like catching up, like kind of a check-in to be like, where are you at with your life? What's been happening? Okay, perfect. Like can't wait to check up with you next time. So that's kind of the season of life that I'm in at the moment. I don't even know how I got there, but it's wild at the moment. My friends, catch up, notes. So we're here. It feels like this is what this is. We're not really, I feel like you and I are doing life together. Like you come on, you're with me every day. Like if you've been following my TikToks and like you listen to the podcast, you're the real one. If you do like follow the app and you like do the daily challenges, like we're in this together. Like it's a different kind of level, but like for so many of my friends it's like a catch up. So this is kind of like my weekly dump, my debrief of like catching up with you all. Anyway, I keep reinforcing that. I don't know why. What I was gonna say, this is so random, that was so deep, and I'm like, so a huge thought I've been thinking about this week, and kind of really last night I was like, I need to talk about this on the podcast, is in small talk, everyone always does like, I feel like, okay, why am I so excited to say this? When you're meeting someone, or like a commonly asked question that I feel like goes around a lot is people being like, what superpower do you want? Quality stuff, I tell you, that's me just talking shit. But like superpower, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, what superpower? Because everyone's like, what are the superpowers? You've got teleportation, invisibility. Let's have a look, because I'm like, why would anyone What superpowers can I have? Okay, we've got magic, levitation, shape-shifting, invisibility, time travel, X-ray vision, or flight are the main ones. Okay, a water manipulation. What a random one. If I did that game with someone and they're like water manipulation, I'd be like, you've thought really hard about this question. I wouldn't have even thought of that. Okay, so let's like unpack, because I feel like there's one that like, I'm like this, like, what are you going to do if you can fly? Like this is, or everyone that asks this question, everyone's like, flying. Like what are you going to do if you can fly? Like, how fast can you fly? Like, I'm imagining you're flying like you're running. Like, I imagine like it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of work, and you just kind of like lift up and you can just fly around. But like, it's cool. Okay, it's cool. But like, I don't run I'm not running everywhere. Like, obviously you're not flying everywhere. It's just kind of like a party trick. So I'm like, I get the flying one, but also I'm like, it's not very practical. Like, if I was like, I wish if I could have one of these things that I could just hover up every now and then. It's like, use your wish wisely, because what's the other one? Levitation. Like, again, like, cool for a second. Like, just sit your ass down. What are you talking about? Invisibility. Coming from someone that kind of was invisible her whole fucking life. No. From a girl that was bullied, from a girl, like, I know what it's like to be invisible. It's not great. I don't know why you would want to be invisible. I think the only reason you'd want to be invisible is to be privy to conversations and to be in rooms that you're actually not supposed to be in, which I just think, like, who wants to be invisible? Because it's going to lead to a lot of heartbreak. Like, if you're in a room with someone and you're invisible and they're talking shit about you, like, is that the only reason you're invisible? Like, what else? What other purpose? Please let me know in the comments as well, or send me a message. Like, what do you get out of being invisible besides like deep trauma? Because you're in rooms where people aren't filtering like what they're saying to your ears. So they could be saying some really fucking awful things. And like, I don't really want any part of that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to. I want to live in my little delusional bubble where like no one's talking shit about me. Talking about talking about shit talking. Another thing I saw on TikTok the other day, which was so interesting, was someone was like, if like one of your friends is like, this person's been shit talking you, you should ask yourself, why was that person so comfortable with talking shit about me to you? Does that make sense? Like, if you, because can you tell this is the first conversation I've had out loud today? It's Monday, it's 11 a.m. and I'm like sat here just like so many words, so little thought. But like, if someone was like, oh, this person shit talked you, you should ask yourself, why was that person so comfortable talking shit about me to you? Does that make sense? Like, how have you opened up the conversation? Like, what has been, like, which is so true. Because if any time someone's like a bit gossipy, or like I'm in a conversation and I'm like talking about someone, like I'm not just sat there doing nothing. Like, I am kind of asking questions or like being like, oh, I felt that too. Like, there's definitely that little gap of like, you know, we're both in on the conversation. Usually someone's not just going to be like talking shit from nothing. Like, usually there's something that talks, you know. I felt like that was crazy. Anyway, what are the other one? Okay, time travel. I get. That's a cool one. But like, it scares the absolute shit out of me. Like, have you seen, there's this thing going around being like the Trump family are all time travelers. I've like seen that somewhere. There's a few, like Taylor Swift, like wasn't there someone, like there's always people that are like, this person's a time traveler. And like, I'd love to believe that. But like, it blows my mind how, like, doesn't that change everything? Like, I would be so scared, because time travel, like, you've seen those movies where like one thing changes and then all of everything else changes. And if you think about that really deeply, like, it puts me into the biggest spiral of like ever. Like, the fact that if you get out of bed 10 minutes earlier and you do push everything 10 minutes forward in your day, you're going to see cars that you wouldn't have seen originally. You may get into a car crash. You may see things like the people that you walk past in the morning are going to be different. The person that you stand behind in a line at the coffee shop is going to be different. Like you may meet your soulmate because they're, up 10 minutes earlier, or you may get into a car crash, or things might happen, or everything that you're exposed to in your day is different because you've decided to do that one thing different. And the more you think about pushing that back, like my nana, for example, like my granddad and my nana met because they were living on other sides of the countries, and then they went over, and my granddad decided to go over and visit my nana in Melbourne, and he was from Perth and he moved over to Melbourne, and he went over there for a trip. He wanted to go and see what Melbourne was like. And if he hadn't made that decision, if he wasn't I'm going to move, I'm just going to go and see, he ended up moving, I keep saying move to Melbourne, but he definitely just went over there to visit to start with. If he didn't want to go on that week trip to Melbourne, he wouldn't have pursued my nana. My nana would have met someone else, and I wouldn't have been born. Every conversation, the fact that he made that one little choice has impacted the fact that they had 3 kids together, and then I've got cousins, and I was born and my brother was born. My mum and dad met at a caravan park because my nana and granddad bought a caravan park, and they my dad was kind of raised on a caravan park, which was really cool. And my mum's brothers ended up having my mum's brothers worked on it was a very small town up north, and they were crayfishermen. So they had boats, and they were crayfishermen in this small town. So they were always living there. So they knew my dad because their family owned the caravan park, and mum came up with her sister and her mum and dad and stayed at their my dad's caravan park, and then she met my dad. But if my uncles didn't move to do their crayfishermen, my mum and dad would have never met. Or if my nana or my granddad never bought the caravan park, they would have never met. And then me and my brother wouldn't have been born. And even down to the timing of when they want kids, and the things they're doing and the decisions, I wouldn't have been the egg. It could have been someone else. It just happened to be that cycle that I would it is it was just wild. It is literally, the more you think about it, the more you spiral. And it's not just my nana and granddad, it's her parents, and then their parents, and then their parents, and then their parents before. And every decision that has ever fucking been made, the second they've tried to have that baby, or when they met, or they decided to break up and then they got back together, or the fact that my nana's nana, they migrated over to Australia, and then that was how, and my it's just the more you think about how everything is so intertwined, and the fact that everything's so wired together, it is terrifying. It is terrifying. It's terrifying, but it's just so cool. What are the chances that you and I are here today? What are the chances that we exist on the same timeline as Taylor Swift, or Harry Styles is around the same age, or the fact that all of this happened, the fact that our best friends, or the people we went to school with, what are the chances that their whole family line has led us all to be in this town, or in this environment, or every decision that has ever been made in our lives leading up to this point has led me to be sat here talking to you, and you sat here listening to me ramble shit. It's just crazy. So time travel scares the absolute shit out of me, because what if you change something? I've always been a time travel would be I would love to go back in time to watch my mum and dad fall in love and be together. Divorce kid things. But I've always said this to my mum and dad. I'm do you think we would be friends? If I was your age, would we be friends? If we went to school together, would we be friends at school? And my mum's they both said no. I was going to say mum said no, but dad also said no. They're no, I don't think we would be friends, which I feel is a huge insult. No, but mum was she was very quiet at school, and I'm quite loud and outspoken, if you can't tell. So she's I don't know if we would have been friends. And then dad was he goes, I don't think we would have been friends either. But I would love to see that, just hang out with mum and dad or something. That would be so cool. So time traveling back to watch them and their love stories, or stay at the caravan park. But the smallest switch or change could like completely alter everything and mean that me and my brother aren't here and none of this reality happens and I'm not here speaking to you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that, the idea of like the smallest conversation, or like I chat with a guy while, you know, mum and dad are getting together, and then his whole life goes on a completely different path, and like his family never happens, and his wife, and like whatever, like that just, it's terrifying the more you think about like how everything's so interconnected. So you just have to, if you time travel, like you couldn't talk to anyone, you just have to, like, how do you, I don't know, like how do you not alter the reality? Because even I was like, you could probably just like go check into a hotel room, but what if you got the last room and then the people that were going to check into that room together and then like got pregnant with this child, that never happened because you got that room, you know, like little, like everything, every tiny little thing, like the time they got up in the morning, everything ends up to where you are now. So I just, time travel, that scares me if someone can travel back in time, because like what are they changing? And then like, how is that reality? I don't know. It's terrifying. And then like time travel to the future, that's terrifying, because I don't know. Hey, do we want to know the future? Like I'm always of the mindset that like that scares me. Like some of my friends have gone to speak to like psychics and like have different plans, or like a good example is one of my friends, her sister went and she was like, I just feel like you're going to meet someone and this guy, your soulmate, has a connection with Sharks Bay, which is like a town about 9 hours from here. It's like, it's got lots of sharks and it's in a beach. I don't know. I've never been there. Apparently lots of sharks. But like her friend, the psychic lady, oh my God, get it to it. The psychic lady was like, I sense your soulmate has a connection with Sharks Bay. My ass would go, I need to go to Sharks Bay. I'm going to sit on a fucking bench in Sharks Bay and I'm going to wait for something to happen, because surely that's my destiny. Like that lady knows. Like I couldn't take it as guidance, or like my friend was like, no, like it could be anything. Like it's not just the fact that like this guy sat on a bench in Sharks Bay waiting for you. Like his family could have been from there, or his grandparent could have had something and he could live somewhere so different. Like there's just like that connection. And then if you find that, you'll like be reassured that like you're on the right track and that's the right person because they have a connection with Sharks Bay. But I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, sorry, mum, I've got to work on like the next podcast episode is me on a beach being like, hi, so I'm in Sharks Bay. Like it would be so in the back of my mind that this is what my reality is now, that like I couldn't take it any other way. So like time travel or like knowing my future or things, like no. Unless like my future's so fucking shit. Like unless I go into the future and I'm like, oh my God, like I live on in a shoe, or like I don't know, like what fucking and then if I had the means to go back and change the future, like maybe, but like if my future is really great, it would be so unmotivating, I think, for me, because I'm like, oh well, I'd get there. Like I get there. Like why am I working so hard? Why am I sat with a dead leg with my tan on like a bed with no sheets doing this podcast? Because like, and I'm doing this podcast because I'd love to do this podcast, but it's like, well, why am I doing this? Like, it's going to all work. Like, what's the point in like even trying? Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I even doing work if this is my outcome? Like, I know that like my retirement is me being on a beach or like whatever. Like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to that level of success. So why am I even trying? Which I think is a really dangerous thing as well. So I wouldn't do time travel. That just scares, that feels too risky. I wouldn't take that risk with time travel. Invisibility, again, I'm not fucking doing that. X-ray vision, like, what? If someone picks X-ray vision, like, what are you doing? Like, why would you want that? Like, why would you want to see people's bones? Like, I don't understand. Like, but go be a radiologist. Like, go be a doctor. Like, you can look at as many bones as you want. I don't understand why you would pick a superpower. If you could be anything, you'd want X-ray vision. Like, what? Blows my mind. Again, flight, I understand. What was it? Water manipulation. Like, what are you, H2O? Like, I'm no ordinary girl. I just don't know know why you would want any of these superpower when, okay, I'm clearly really biased. The superpower I want is teleportation. Now, I do not see how any of the others have anywhere near the same level of significance as like a teleportation would have such a fucking impact on your life. Like everything. Like I could be sat here right now and I'd be like, do you know what I really want? A croissant in Paris. And I could go and I'm in a fucking restaurant in a cafe in Paris getting a croissant. And then I could come back here and I could get on with my work. Like my friend's in a crisis. She's really sad. Boom, I'm on her bed. We're having a chat. Boom, I'm back here filming podcasts with you, doing something else. Oh, we're thinking about, I really want sushi. Boom, Japanese. I'm going to a Japanese restaurant. I'm in Japan. Boom, sushi. Like it would change fucking everything, and not just food. I see that my pattern is very food motivated, which could be a problem. I'm like, you could go to every nachos, Mexico. Why wouldn't you want to go to all these food places? But like, not even like just that, but like you could go anywhere. Like, I've got a meeting. Don't worry. I don't need to spend an hour going through traffic to get there. Boom. I'm walking through the door. Hi, I'm Lexi. Nice to meet you. Like, boom, back here, back home. Like, it would change my whole life in such a good way. I go out and feed my horse. Like, my horse lives like half an hour away from me and I see her every day. I drive to her every day. Boom, I'm at the horse. Like, And have you seen, there's this movie Jump. This is a really weird reference and probably no one's seen this, but there's this movie called Jump where he's like, he teleports, like he has this superpower and he teleports, he's like so rich because he teleports into the vault of like the bank vaults where all the cash is, and he like teleports there and he like shoves his bag full of money and then boom, teleports back to his like mansion in New York or wherever. I think he's got mansions all around the world, and he just like boom, teleports, going to the bank, which is obviously an illegal way of doing it. But and this is not how I would use my superpower because I'm such a rule follower. I'm such a goody two shoes. I'd be like, no, like use this to your advantage. Like I'd be paying. Do you want to go to? I'll teleport rides with Lexi. It's a new business plan. No, but it would just, he uses it to his, like, whatever, but he, like, has all these photos around his walls, and anyway, there's, the story is, like, there's a bunch of people, they're called jumpers, who, like, teleport through time or something, I don't know. Anyway, there's this whole thing about, like, they're bad people, and there's, like, good people, and, like, there's the FBI or, like, special jumper police that are trying to get rid of this person. Anyway, it's this whole story. But like the start of the movie, I'm like, this is the life that would be so fucking cool. He's got photos of him like in all of these places, and he's just like jumps there, jumps to the vault in the bank, gets all this money, jumps, gone. No police can see him because he's just jumping around. Like it's so like, tell me that's not the coolest super, like invisibility, like, but, like, nothing else is invisible, is it? Like, invisibility, people will be like, okay, you could use invisibility to, like, rob a bank as well and, like, go in and steal cash. But, like, the cash isn't invisible. So if you're carrying cash, the CCTV footage can show that this cash is hovering all the way to your house. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, surely this isn't, like... The best one is invisibility. Oh, not invisibility. Sorry. Teleportation. Surely. Tell me if you think that that's crazy, because I think that is the coolest way to do it. Okay, sorry, audio listeners. My camera only records for 29 minutes and then it like shuts off. So I just had to go. I can see the timer going. I was like, okay, pop it on. I can't believe I've talking for what? Talking. I can't believe I've talking for 29 minutes about fucking no shit. When what I was going to talk about, and I was like, I'm going to come on the podcast, and the first thing I'm going to say is like, people are just like, I don't know. Wow, I'm so glad I thought really long and hard about what I was going to say. No, okay. So I posted a video last night on my Her Help TikTok, which was about like her help, and it was like, what we really need is a feminine, the Chapel Roan song. Fucking hell, why can't I talk? And I was talking about the app and whatever. Like, you've probably seen the video, like whatever. And I posted the video, and someone commented and was like, "Go do the dishes." And like, I don't know where that comment really set me off more than anyone else's. Like, when I tell you, I get death threats every day. Like, you should see my DMs. It's a wild place. I get like the most horrible things being said about me constantly. I don't know. to the point that like my mum was like, do we have to be worried about these death threats? Like, is this, like, she's like, I am nervous that people are going to figure out where we live and like come and get you. Like, I don't know, like it's scary. And it just is wild to me that like I could make an app to like actually help people and to like genuinely want to make a difference in people's lives and like create this safe space, and like it could have that effect. I don't know. And I think this one really got to me because I wasn't saying anything controversial. Like, I understand that some of the things I say on TikTok, like whatever, like people have their opinions, and I'm pretty loud and outspoken about like what I say on TikTok, and I respect and understand that like I'm going to get backlash for that, and people are going to say what their opinions and the things that they want to say. And again, like I don't think anything I'm saying on TikTok is that crazy. Like, it's all very lighthearted. It's kind of just like the things I'm saying on TikTok is like, what is it? Like one of them was like, do you know, like we say man, like we say, oh girl, when we're excited about something, and like, oh man, when we're disappointed. And like, I laughed. I was like, that's so funny. And like that got almost 10 million views on TikTok. And it's just like, things like that do perform really well. Like, it's kind of like, just like lighthearted, like, oh, isn't this funny in the world? Like the one that was the other that I posted a few days ago was like, what was it? It was something about, men just when they like throw things and hit, like throw things around, are just showing or making you hear how much they want to hit you. And like the amount of like fucking crazy backlash I got for that, and people being like, oh my God, like you're such a man hater, like no one's ever gonna fucking love you, like you're an ugly ass piece of shit. Like the list went on and on and on and on. Like what, 9 million people saw that video. Like 9 million people, not everyone's gonna agree with what I'm saying, but like the point of that video wasn't to hate men or to say like, I don't know, it's not men hating. It's genuinely such a huge thing. And something that I saw on Married at First Sight, like for my Australian girls, is like, there's this guy, if you haven't seen, his name's Paul, and he, like, okay, so Paul and Karina are a couple on Married at First Sight. They got married. They went out for dinner and they came home and they were in the car. And I'm pretty sure it was Drake. Drake was someone, there was this podcast that was like, the guy that Karina was talking about was Drake. So Drake, the rapper, was like on the radio, and there was a song playing, and Karina turned to him and was like, oh, I've slept with this guy. Like, I've slept with this rapper. And like Paul cracked the absolute shits, which again, like, what the fuck? Like, what a cool thing. Like, if my partner, I don't have a partner, but if someone, you know, someone in the future eventually, when I find love, but according to these people on TikTok, I'm never going to find love and I'm never going to be with someone, which whatever. But like, I do understand there is some ramifications of like the things I'm posting, and like people are like, oh, you get so many people like I'm sure you get so many people in your DMs, like you're so beautiful, you're so kind. I'm like, no, like the things I'm posting, like me being like holding people, I don't know. I don't think what I'm posting is that crazy. And I'm very aware of that I don't ever want to come across as a man hater, because I'm fucking not. Like, I'm fucking not. I never want that to ever be a narrative, because I have the most incredible men in my life. It's crazy that I have to say that, but I'm like, I love men. Like, some of my favorite people in this world are men. Like, I grew up in a very male household, which may be a reason why I created this app, was because I wanted some of that like feminine energy, because so my parents are divorced and my mum got remarried, and the person that she remarried, my stepdad has 2 boys as well. So I do week about. So when I was at my mum's house, there was me, my mum, and then there was my stepdad, and then my 3 brothers, or like my actual brother, and then my 2 stepbrothers. So I felt very outnumbered in that environment, because there's 4 of them and like 1 of mum. So like in that, so one week when I was at mum's, like I had my brothers and I had my stepdad. And then the other week it was just my dad, my brother and me. So there's 3 of us. So I'm like always my whole life been around quite a male whatever. And then I moved out with my boyfriend, and obviously then I'm in a male environment because it's just me. So like I like the people that I have closest to me and my loved ones, they're men. Like besides my mum, like everyone else in my like immediate family are guys. And I have, you know, some of the most incredible people. Like I love men. I think they're so cool. Like I even had a mentor meeting this week with a guy, and he was just so, I don't know, like it's just like, I don't know why I need to say that. Like, it's just, I don't know why that male example was so good. I think that was good because I genuinely have like mentor meetings with women. Like, I just feel like they understand the industry a little bit better. Like, I definitely have had in like the start of my business journey, like tried to have conversations with the people in my small town. about my app and about my thing, and they've always been like older men, and they just don't really get what I'm doing. Like, they don't understand that I could be on a podcast and this could be my job. Like, they just don't get like the digital world, which is totally fine. But I then kind of were like, okay, well, what other women are in this industry, and like, how can I have a conversation and talk to them? So I've kind of been had like a lot of women mentors. But I have this really cool guy that I was speaking to that kind of does, like, he works in this space, and he was just so nice and so supportive. And I have had so many of those people throughout my life. Like, it just, I don't know, it goes without saying. I don't know. So I'm not a man hater. Like, I don't understand why I need to say that. But I think my TikTok things of this week, and like, it's just the videos that they see, like, they engage with that more. And there's like debate in the comments, and people are saying that, and that kind of leads to like the video getting more views and stuff. Like, if you actually scroll through my profile, like, it's 1 in every fucking 20 videos where I'm like, oh, if he's like hitting you, like throwing shit around, like, maybe that's not okay. Like, and again, like, isn't that like advice that's needed? And the reason I made that video was because, again, back to Paul and Karina slept with Drake, and then Paul got so angry that like they got home and they were in their like little apartment filming on Married at First Sight, and she was like, what's wrong? He's like, it's just so not cool. It's so not cool. And he fucking punched the wall or the door or something, and had all of this, like, he punched it so fucking hard, like his whole knuckles were like grazed and red, like he'd made himself bleed. He'd punched it so hard. And she was like, oh, you know, like, I'm not scared of him, like, blah, blah, blah. But like, that act of aggression is fucking crazy. And from someone who's kind of experienced that with partners previously, it's like, that's just such a fucking threatening act of abuse. Like, it's just awful. And the amount of conversation I felt like that spiraled in within like my friendship groups, and also online and within the app as well. Like, people being like, oh, like, my partner does that, like, he's never gonna actually hit me. It's like, how fucking scary. Like, I've never been in a situation where I have been so angry at someone that I've just wanted to just throw something or do a huge thing of aggression. Like, and I get some people get angry and like shit happens, but like, that should never be that should never happen. You know what I mean? Like, why am I excusing that even by saying, oh, shit happens? Like, I think the people in my head on TikTok, all the comments are being like, you know, whatever, like, I get angry issues and that happens. And like, it's like, okay, like, there are, you know, shit does happen, but like, it's an act of aggression. And it's fucking scary, fucking awful and terrifying. And it just, like, it shouldn't happen, and it's not on. And there was so much conversation with this Married at First Sight episode. So like, I posted this video and I was like, guys, like, it's threatening behavior and it's not on. And the amount of people in the comments that are being like, you're such a man hater, like, fuck you. It's like, it blows my mind. It's like, the things I'm saying, they're not true. Like, are they? No, they're true. So whatever. Okay, that's a very intense conversation that I'm like, I'm tiptoeing around what I should and shouldn't say, because I just don't, yeah. There's people watching that are, yeah, but like, the girls get it. Like, the people that are watching this, they understand my heart and they know what I'm trying to say. I just, yeah, the wording scares me because I know that there's so many people that watch this and there's always going to be a different perspective, but I hope my little ramble made sense. But let's go into something a little bit more lighthearted and fun. Well, it's not really. Like, on Saturday, I had this huge realization that I'm getting older. Like, there was so many, my Saturday this week was so jam-packed full of things that I was like, I am an adult. Like, this is terrifying. I went to like an art safari to start with. Like, in my town, there's like all these local artists like put their art in. Like, that was so cute. There was nothing wrong with that part of the day. Then I went to an 85th birthday, which was very sweet, nice again. What were the crazy things that happened in the day? Oh, I sent one of my friends a package, which I posted on my Instagram if you saw that, but I sent her a package of like care gifts and like for her baby. She's just about to have a baby. And I was like, she lives on the other side of Australia, so I haven't seen her, but I was like, I want her to like know that I'm still thinking about her and that I love her. So I made up a little bundle of things for her, like a little mum and papa mug and like baby toys and like all these things. And I like sent it to her a few weeks ago, and she finally got it and was like unboxing it, which was so sweet. But she's like sending me this being like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And she's got her little belly in the photos. And I was like, that's so crazy that I have friends that are like about to have a baby. Then I went to a bridal shower on Saturday as well. And they were like doing bridal games, and we were talking about like getting married and like all the crazy things. And also one of my friends messaged me and like she sent a Snapchat and she was like, I just want to tell you something, and like pan her phone down, and it was like 2 positive pregnancy tests. And I was like, oh my God, my day, I'm giving presents to babies, I'm doing bridal showers, I'm hearing that people are pregnant. It was the craziest day where I was like, oh, this is like, this happens now. Like, this happens. Like, my friends are having babies. And like, I definitely have had like, when you look at like the people I went to school with, most of them are married, lots of them have children. Like, it's very small town vibe. Like, it's very much like, it's a small town, this is what happens. So I don't know, but when it's like someone that you like are really close with, or like grew up together and like actually were really good friends with, when they're finally having a baby, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so terrifying. And yeah, so it's been, and like doing this bridal thing, and then buying like dresses for weddings. I haven't been to like an adult wedding. I went to my babysitter when we were little. It's the only wedding I've been to. Oh no, I went to my uncle's wedding when we were like 14. It was in Bali. It was beautiful. But before that, our babysitter, so like the lady that used to pick us up from school when mum was working full time, she had this wedding and we were invited, and it was at a rock climbing place. And I remember like the groom like rock climbing down the wall. It was so random, but I remember being so excited, and I was about 8, 9, maybe even younger. And I was like, this is so cool. And like, we babysat their baby for the night because like all of their friends were out having like at their wedding. So like we took the kid home. Anyway, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And that was the only wedding I've ever been to. And then like my uncle got married in Bali. And then these are like my first like weddings. So on the 25th of April and the 26th of April, over the 2 days, I have 2 weddings. One of them, my mum's best friend's getting married, and then one of my friends is getting married. And I'm like, I have to like find an outfit and wear a dress. And like, I don't know, like I'm a shorts girl. Like I feel like I dress very, I don't know. Like I'm always in pants. I'm always in like oversized baggy things. Like that's just my vibe. Like I like to be comfy. I don't know. To be honest, I don't feel very feminine. Like I feel quite like in a dress. I'm like, I feel like an imposter. Like I don't feel like I should be in this dress. Like I don't know. It's this mindset thing, I think. And I'm like, I just feel like my shoulders are too broad. And I just feel very self-conscious in like a dress. So for these 2 weddings, I want to wear 2 dresses. Like it's kind of the vibe is to wear a dress. I could wear a pantsuit or something, but I don't know. I then feel self-conscious in that as well, because I'm like, I'm giving off weird vibes. Like I'm giving off like, why aren't you just wearing a dress? Like, come on, babe. I don't know, because I'm never in a dress. So I've ordered 2 dresses, and I'll have to let you know. I'll maybe post them. Like if I wear them for the wedding, you'll see them for the wedding, but maybe I'll post them before and get your opinions and feedback. But not if I'm in the dresses for the wedding. It's a scary thing for me to do. Just a quick break in the episode to talk about something I know you're going to love. If you've ever dreamed of starting your own merch line, side hustle, or creating something totally you, Printify is your secret weapon. With Printify, you can design and create products without dealing with inventory, shipping, or upfront costs. Just upload your design, pick from hundreds of high quality products, and boom, your online store is ready to go. They handle the printing and shipping so you can focus on growing your brand. I personally have some merch samples on our way from from Printify for HerPod, which I'm so excited about, and I can't wait for you to see. So head over to printify.com and sign up for free to start creating today. That's printify.com, because your idea deserves to break into the world. Now back to the episode. Okay, let's get on to some dilemmas. I feel like really weird when I was talking about the like aggression stuff. I don't know. I feel like I need to just brush that energy. I've got like a weird energy now because I'm like, I just don't want to offend anyone. And I don't know. I feel like you understand my point of view. I don't know. I'm stressing that like I didn't say that right. But like, let's get on to some dilemmas and let's like brush off this like weird feeling. I just don't want to offend anyone or like people misinterpret what I'm saying. Anyway, my best friend said she hates me. Long story short, my best friend and I of 16 years are no longer friends. I communicated with her that I thought she hadn't been a very good friend to me the past few months, and instead of trying to fix our relationship or even hearing me out, she immediately went into defense and made some pretty hurtful remarks. One of the things she said was, "Everyone has always said you're a bad friend, but I never listened." I don't know if she's just saying this to hurt me or if she's actually heard this, but there is a lot of cases in this story where I think she doesn't want me to be her friend and that she is actually not being a good friend to me. I know in my heart she isn't a very nice person and always talking about people she doesn't even know very judgmentally, but I'm struggling when I think how long we've been friends for. I feel like I'm going through a divorce. She was my sister. Oh, this is so hard. I think friendships are really tough, especially when they're like long-term friends, because it's kind of like they've been in your life for so long. But I think when you're in a long-term friendship, like it's just like a relationship. Like sometimes you grow together and you like experience and you kind of turn into similar people, you know, as you grow older. But some of the time you grow really apart and you like look at your friends that you were friends with in high school, or you look at your friends that you've been friends with for years, and then you're like, oh, I don't know this person. Like this isn't someone that I would ever want to associate with now. And like growing apart, like it's really fucking hard and awful. But like if she's saying really nasty things about you and you're saying like, hey, I really want this relationship to work, and she's like pushes it all on you, like I think it's nice to just maybe take a step back for a while. And like some really beautiful lifelong friends, like sometimes they go through ups and downs and things might change, or she's going through something right now and she's just not valuing you or like whatever she's doing, but like she could come back, you know, like just there can be an ebb and flow. Like sometimes I'm pissed off at people in my life and I'm like, oh, we're not as close as we were last year, and then it will come back up and we get close again, and like things change. Like long-term friendships are funny if it's more of like a sister vibe, but like just know that like you don't deserve to be treated like that. Like people grow apart. Like no, I don't think that you should try and keep making it work. Like it seems like she's being really open with you about like what's happening in her life, and if she's just being a bit of a bitch at the moment, you can just like say, okay, just don't feel like it's the end. Like sometimes, like you were saying, going through a divorce, like it doesn't have to be like, this is it, we're never going to talk again. It's kind of just like, okay, for now, like we're not on the same page. All right. Am I the asshole? I recently confirmed my suspicion that my spouse has been cheating. I did a lot of online sleuthing and managed to find that the side piece is also married. Okay, firstly, awful. Secondly, probably not great use of the word side piece. That doesn't sit right in my world. Because it's like we take the blame on your husband, right? Because he's cheating on you. Like it's not up. We're not critiquing the woman in the life. Like you don't have any loyalty to that lady. You have loyalty to you and your relationship, and the fact that he did that to you is a reflection on him. It's not a reflection on whoever it is. If it wasn't her, it would be someone else. So let's not. It's 2025, ladies. Like, let's not call the other woman a side piece. We're not here to blame the other woman. You don't have a relationship with her. Anyway, okay. After such a ramble, I'm like, come on, guys. Have we not heard the Taylor Swift? What is it? The Better Than Revenge. She changed it. She changed the lyrics. If you're a Taylor Swift girl, you know, because like we're not blaming the other girl anymore. Okay. After several unsuccessful attempts at calling, I just got an answering machine but declined to leave a message. I found the husband of the side piece on LinkedIn. Not being terribly familiar with the platform, I inboxed him, asking if we could talk. In a few days, he responded asking what about. I told him it was a sensitive nature and provided my number and request he called me. After about a week with no response, I tweaked him again, saying that I have information likely to interest him. Not surprisingly, he assumed I was a bot and this was some sort of ad. He asked that I not solicit him. I sent him a small sample of photos I discovered on our spouses together and assured him I was not a bot. After a week, I discovered I was blocked. I'm unsure if he blocked me or if his wife did. Suspecting that something was amiss, logging into his account, I deleted my message in an attempt to cover her tracks. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on the situation. Am I the asshole for warning her husband that he's been lied to and used? Okay. I'd like to know what you're doing with your husband as well. Like, I get that there's so much hurt and there's so much anger. And I think there's always that like question of like, do I reach out to tell the other person that like this has happened, or do I kind of keep it to myself? I think I would definitely, like, if I was cheated on, I would send a message, be like, hey, like, whatever, I'm here. But like, if you've clearly kind of done that and you've sent samples and then he's kind of blocked you, like, that's where you leave it. Like, you go, okay, I've tried reaching out, like, I've tried, you know, I don't know, some people would be like, just leave it, it's not your business. And I think that's where you're at now, is like, just leave it, it's no longer your business. Like, you've put your foot out there. But I understand being hurt. And like, if I was in that situation and my partner was cheating on me and someone knew and no one told me, I would be really hurt by that. Like, I'm like, please tell me these things. Like, I want to know what's happening. But if, you know, then you've kind of said your piece, or you've sent little screenshots, you've not had like the full chat that you want to have, but you've kind of like dabbled into it, and you've just got to leave it. And just, focus on what you're doing with your husband. If he's still your husband, just like, focus on that. But again, like, I can see you're putting so much of your anger on the other girl, like that, which is so easy to do, because you're like, this is the person that he slept with, that's not me. But like, please make sure you're directing your anger onto your husband, because he's the one that was meant you have loyalties with and that you should have trust. They're both very much in the wrong, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did happen, and your partner let you down. She didn't. So like, if you've tried to say something to her partner and then they've kind of just left, like, it's not your business anymore, and just focus on like what's happening with you. But I don't think you're the asshole for reaching out to him and being like, hey, like, this happened, this has really hurt me. I'm sure it's going to hurt you as well. But I would just leave it at that now. But please don't call other women side pieces. Thanks. Okay, dilemma 2. My friend can be overbearing. I've learned she has an anxious attachment style. I deal with my problems alone and don't communicate with friends and family daily. She needs constant communication, reassurance to hang out, make friends. I feel guilty that I'm not enough for her and cause her anxiety. What can I do to improve our relationship? Can I balance our opposite attachment styles? Ooh, this question's hard. And I'm coming at it from a perspective of like, I've had friendships like this in the past where like it feels like you're in a fucking relationship, which like some friends it's so easy and it's so flowy and like you just want to do everything together and you're best friends and like you just want to do things together and you like do life together. I think that's a separate bucket. Like I've had friends where like the feelings mutual and we're like, what are you doing now? Like, let's go do this. Or like, I'm in the area, come for a walk. Like that's really beautiful and fun. But when like you're saying she needs constant communication and reassurance, it's like, I don't know. I feel like some girls have been in situations where like they've had friends that feel like a relationship, like the heavy weight of like, oh, like come like constantly reassurance and constant communication. Like it's just so fucking exhausting. And like friendship, I'm like such a low maintenance friend. Like I can't be friends with people like this that are just like constantly. I'm like, oh, like if we see each other during the month, like amazing. Like otherwise, like keep me updated. Like we talk at least, you know, a few times a day, or like at least send me a photo or just like a hi, like how are you? But like whatever. Like if we don't speak, we don't speak. It's totally fine. So I'm quite a low maintenance friend. So this kind of friendship would never work for me because I can't, like I just don't have time. But yeah, I know what it's like to have a friend that is like this. And I think it's just, yeah, be open, be like, hey, like I love you so much, but like I can't be having constant communication. And if you're saying, how can I improve our relationship and balance these opposite attachment styles? I think just having a real conversation, be like, hey, like I love you so much and I'm so glad you're in my life, but like I can't, like I have anxiety and I can't be like the pressure of like constantly. Because I had friends where like if I wasn't replying, they'd be like, oi, like I can see you're like on your phone, you're active, like why aren't you replying? Like come on, like this is urgent, like come on. And then always like everything was such a thing. So like yeah. All right, dilemma 3. It's been almost a year since I got ghosted by my best friend from college, and I just can't seem to get over it. I have reoccurring nightmares that I am about to find out what happened between the two of us, and then something happens and I wake up. I just don't know how to get over it because I'm pretty sure I did nothing wrong. For some backstory, there was never any bad blood. I never said anything bad about her, and it was driven a 16+ hour one way to visit her in her new town. We had such a good time, and she said she forgot how nice it was to have a real friend around. A few months later, she completely stops talking to me and doesn't answer phone calls or texts. I reach out probably too much over the next 4 months with no response. I finally sent her a text saying I don't know why she decided to end our friendship, but if I did anything wrong, I'd really like to say sorry. To my surprise, she answered. She said I did nothing wrong and she was sorry she pushed me away because nothing but good things have come out of our friendship. However, she was going abroad for a month or so and would get in touch with me when she got back. I text her when I realized she was back and asked how her trip was, and no response again. I sent her a Snapchat memory from college and she opened it and doesn't reply. How does someone walk away from your life for no reason with no closure? Is it worth reaching out again by text? I don't know. The part of me just feels like I want to vent to her because I don't know how she could do this to me. Oh, this is hard because it sounds like nothing's happened. Like it sounds like she's just living her life and she's just not, I don't know. Some people like live very presently. I don't know. First off, to validate, this fucking sucks. And this would be so fucking hurtful. And the fact that you're friends with this person and love this person and then like you just don't hear from them again, like that fucking sucks. And that's awful. And I'm so sorry that happens to you. And the fact that you're like waking up in the night, like imagining her talking to you, like just shows how fucking like important this friendship was to you and how much you love this person. And the fact that she's just like, you're right, completely ghosted you is awful and it sucks and I'm so sorry, and it's just awful because there's no closure. And like even when you ask like what's happened, she's like, oh, nothing's wrong, like we're good. It's like, okay, but like we're not, because I don't get to talk to you. I think that's really fucking shit. And I'm trying to reason in my head, and I'm sure you've done this a million times, being like, well, what's the reason? Like I'm always like, there's a gap. Like if something doesn't make sense, it's because you don't know the full story. And it's like, well, what's the full story? Like how can I make this make sense? And in my head I'm like, well, I don't know, like what is the reason? Like, is it just like some people are really bad texters and communicators, and unless someone's like in your life and like in front of you, sometimes people just like live their life and just like focus on what's around rather than like the connections and the people they have separately. But like, I don't know, it's a fucking shit situation. I don't know, you said, should I reach out again, ask for some closure? I think the fact that she reached out to you, or like you reached out to her and then she replied and was like, hey, like, no, it's got nothing to do with you. Like, I'll explain things when I get back. And then like, you've kind of left that in her hands now to be like, okay, reach out to me. And then the fact that you reached out and was like, how was your trip? And she didn't reply. It's like, who's this person? Like, what the fuck? Like, you're in my life for such a long time. Like, it's so awful. And it must be really hard to not have closure. But I think you just take a deep breath and go, okay, the ball's in her court. Like, I've done nothing wrong. And then go, she'll reach out when she's ready. Like, this friendship isn't over. It's just clearly there's something else going on, and it'll all make sense one day, surely. But that's fucking awful. And I'm so sorry that happened because it's actually really shit. All right, guys, that's the podcast done for another week. Thank you for sitting with me on my bed and that was an awful. Thank you for sitting with me on my bed and having a chat with me and just, giving a weekly chat. I can't even explain to you how cool it was to get the reception of you guys all listening to the pod last week and really enjoying it, and the DMs and the things I was getting after just means everything to me. It's just so crazy to see people actually listening to the pod and liking it. But I love you guys so, so, so much, more than you'll ever know. And as always, let's do life together.